3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to episode 136 of Ruse Radio. We are back at it again, folks, with a very special guest. Special guest, please introduce yourself.
What up, everybody? I'm Kat Diaz, and I'm here to do an interview. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Kat Diaz, pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. People are watching this. They saw your face. They clicked the video. They're going, who is this woman? What do you say?
I'm just a girl trying to make some jokes and dress good at the same time.
Yeah, how do you think you're doing it, those two things?
You know, I think my style is pretty up there. And the jokes, we're working on them. We're working on them, aren't we?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Good. All fun.
You're making me think about like my style.
I
right
love
now.
that. It's
Thank
very
you.
it's very like sky aesthetic.
That's what I went for.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, like, see, I have no method to my madness. I just look at two things and I just throw them on and I hope it works, but it seems to work out for me.
Absolutely. Yep. It's like a Bob Ross painting, really.
Yes.
Almost, yeah.
I am like a Bob Ross painting, you know?
When I saw you outside, I could only see your head, right? Because the rest of you blended in.
It's camouflage.
Outside. Yeah.
It's actually modern camouflage.
Modern camouflage. It's not green anymore. It's blue. 2025 is blue.
If you could fly, you probably would want to wear this.
Yeah. To be like completely invisible, you mean?
Mm-hmm. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a floating head in the sky.
Oh my God, Ruse, I think you have your new merchandise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Skydiving gear.
Skydiving gear. But yeah, I try to style a little bit. I think, wow, you're really styling today. How do you select your outfits? How does it happen?
Well, it's very easy for me because I tend to buy a lot of like red and black. So a lot of my pieces that I have in my closet go together pretty well.
That's easy.
Yeah.
You have a color scheme.
Yeah. I didn't even really mean to do it. But ever since I was in middle school, people would be like, red is so your color. And so I just kept buying red. And sometimes I would buy like blue or yellow, but then it's like, I don't have anything to wear with this. So
yeah. You just got to stick to the script.
The basics. Yeah. The script.
See, like blue has been my color, but I branch out enough. I've said this before, like, if I could just wear a blue jumpsuit all the time, 24/7, I probably would.
Like a onesie?
Just,
kind of
yeah, a onesie, whatever.
Cookie
as long as it's
Monster.
all blue. I think a onesie would be even better.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking I think when I say jumpsuit, I think what I'm thinking of is in the 90s what they would call a jumpsuit.
Okay, right.
And they had like the saggy pants and
Yeah.
I don't even know
belt,
if that's technically a jumpsuit, but that's what the image that popped in my brain was.
They're like the parachute pants.
Yeah,
that MC
yeah.
Hammer used to wear.
Yup.
Very 90s.
Like if I wore that 24/7, but just all blue, I think I'd be the coolest guy ever.
I think you could parachute with that, actually. Back to the skydiving merch that you're going to put out.
Exactly.
2025, you heard it here first.
Yep. And I will give you the credit where it is due because I don't want to take all the credit, all right? I couldn't have come up with such a brilliant idea. I did come up with the camouflage idea. That was me.
That came here. That came here.
But you
and then it came
snowballed it into merchandise, which is perfect.
Listen, I'm happy with just a promo code. If you want to just Diaz25, that's good enough for me.
You heard it here first, folks. Diaz25. All right, you go to that link in the description.
I've always wanted a promo code.
For real though, with my professional Mindblower shirts that I do sell, that was just something I said. And I remember one guy said to me one day, he said, yeah, you should put that on a t-shirt. And I said, oh, you're a genius. You're a genius. And I am going to give him credit right now. DW, shout out Designer Warehouse. That's how I remember his name. DW is his initials. DW. He wanted to be my manager. He was like, can I be your manager? And I was like, all right, prove yourself.
Right.
Get me a show. And then I think what happened was he booked me a show but didn't tell me about it. And like it was way out of the way. And I was busy that day and I didn't know what to do. I was like, because I didn't even know. He never texted me. It was like I just got tagged on an Instagram post for a show at a bowling alley 3 hours away.
Was it in Piatoni?
I can't remember. Yeah, it might have been. You might know the bowling alley. I've been there. It's a good thing you didn't go.
Suburban bowling alleys are the best place to have unknown gigs. So
really,
yeah. You probably would have had your big break that night had you known or had an inkling that you had a show.
That could have been my whole new future right there.
It could have.
Yeah.
So you said you rap, right?
If DW would have hit me up, bro. DW, you want to be my manager? Step it up, okay? He told me I want to be your manager, but I don't have his cell phone, so you're gonna have to work with me. I'm like, dude, what is this?
DW, we got to get with the times, man. We can't be having a smoke signal manager over here.
Smoke signal, like literally, you're looking up for like the bat signal in the sky, like
Right,
waiting for
yeah.
DW. Because
The initials DW.
yeah, exactly. Like meet me at the Glenwood Bar in 20 minutes.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
all right.
No, exclusively bowling alleys. That's his niche, actually.
That's the only place he gets me booked is suburban bowling alleys. It's actually the perfect place for me, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I know there's bowling alleys. I know there's bowling alley open mics as well.
Right, yeah.
I'm trying to think of the one venue. What's the place I see?
Diversity? River Bowl?
Maybe. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen them post in a while, but I might just not be looking. But yeah, I've been there a couple times. They had free pizza.
What?
Yeah.
You gotta love that. At an open mic?
Open mic, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Free pizza at an open mic. I mean, you just put that on the poster and you instantly times 2 the amount of comedians who are going to show.
Yeah, they
you
did.
tell them
They
free
did not,
food.
They did not.
Comedians
put
are
it-
poor.
They did not put it on the poster, which I was grateful for because I took like 2-3 pieces.
Exactly.
They were skinny though, skinny pieces.
You know what? You got a good point. You throw it on the poster, it's the same amount of
No,
pizza.
yeah. You reward the people who are there. That's what it is.
Yeah,
that's how it's got to be.
Exactly. You don't want to
Yeah.
you don't want to ruin. You want to spoil the winnings. Okay, like all these people who are here, we got 10 pizzas for 20 people. I mean, you do the math. Okay, that's like 8 pieces per pizza. 10.
That's
That's
a lot of
80
math.
pieces. 80 pieces. 20 people. 20 to 80 divided by 20. 8 divided by 2. 4 pieces of pizza for each
Look at us
person.
doing math. Hey.
Yeah. Smart guy here. Smart
Comedy
guy.
and rap equals math.
There's got to be an equation for that somewhere that makes perfect sense.
It's
Comedy plus rap equals math. You know, we don't do enough math on this show, actually.
No,
Yeah.
you
I almost
need
said meth. You know, we don't do enough math on this
We
show.
do enough math. Math we
Probably
do enough
just
of.
the right amount.
Yes, we are going to stop this and edit and do it, pick up where we left off because we do have to take that next hit.
That's
But,
all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We timed it out just right.
We
Yeah.
do, yeah.
If you see cuts in the middle of this episode, that's what it is.
Minor edits.
Yeah.
Minor hits.
Yeah. But music, yes, I
Yes.
do music, yes. I've done music for 13 years now.
Okay, wow.
Long time.
Always rap or?
Yeah. I mean, what I always say is like, when you say rap, people have an idea of what
Right,
that
yeah.
is.
It brings them like connotation, right?
Yeah, just like anything though. Like, so, but I feel like rap, especially like being me,
Yeah.
the type of rap I do, you wouldn't expect me to do.
Okay.
But also like it is, to me, it's not even like, music is music is music. So
Right.
really, I would consider myself a musician before anything. Like I
Okay.
would do anything,
Right,
any
right.
type of music, as long as you feel it. Like if you hear an instrumental and you can feel a feeling and you can
Yeah.
write to that, that's
Yeah.
what music is.
Right.
And that's what drew me to hip hop. But
Okay.
it's not like you're a rapper, because I mean, I think even like rappers put themselves in boxes and they
Sure.
only do a certain style of music because they think that's hip hop, you know, and there's so much you can
Sure.
do, especially nowadays. Like music, like hip hop in particular, has expanded so much in the last
Right.
like 20 years.
Right.
So,
Who are some of your favorite hip hop artists?
I would
Probably a major
say,
question.
what's you say?
Probably a very broad question.
It's a broad question, but I mean, it's the same thing as like if you ask a comedian what their favorite comedians are.
Right.
See, the danger of answering those questions is that you reveal like your influences. Like if you,
True.
if you,
Yeah,
if you're
very
honest
true.
enough, people will
Yeah.
watch you on stage
Right.
afterwards. They'll be like,
yeah. That's a
happens.
good trick. That's a good trick. Okay.
It is. I heard
You're right.
Tyler Joseph, the musician, he's the lead singer of 21 Pilots. I used to be a
Okay.
really big fan of 21 Pilots when I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
And I remember he said that in an interview. They asked him who his influences are. He said,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm not going to answer that because of this
Okay.
reason." And it made me
Yeah.
realize, like, oh, he's
Facts.
probably smart. But like Mac Miller, I think, is an amazing rapper. Like I think like
R.I.P.
someone who like manages to do what I'm saying, where he like transcended hip hop in this way and made something bigger than that, especially with his latest albums. Right before he passed away, he was
Right.
really starting to
Yeah.
hit like a new stride with that.
Right.
His earlier stuff is much more like boom bappy, like what you'd kind of expect for an underground rapper to be making, but he kind of really blossomed. And
Yeah.
then, you know, it's so sad he passed away because of that.
Yeah.
'Cause who knows what he'd be doing right now.
Very, very young.
Yeah,
For sure.
so young. I mean, someone just told me, I was talking to Matt Bowe, because
Yeah.
apparently they're both from Pittsburgh. Mac Miller was from Pittsburgh.
I think he mentioned that. Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah, and so when I found that out, he was saying how like it was really sad when Mac Miller passed away in Pittsburgh because that's where he's
hometown
from.
hero, yeah.
Exactly. He's like one of the hometown heroes. I don't know how many there are. And he was 26, and I'm 26. So this is crazy to put that in perspective. Crazy to put that in perspective, to think about it, and to realize just how much one man can do. I mean, one person can go and they can blow your mind in all sorts of ways. I think Mac Miller was a professional mind blower, and I think we all have the capability of becoming a professional mind blower if we just put our minds to it, folks. And if you want to start with the mindset first, you want to put your mind to it, maybe a good way to do that is to get a t-shirt that says professional mind blower. Okay, Mac Miller could have wore this and it would have made perfect sense, and you can too. We've got smalls, we've got mediums, we got larges, and we can make more sizes if you so please, folks. I mean, come on. It's a great way for you to support this show. It's a great way for you to let us know that you're down with Ruse Radio, and it's a fun little conversation starter. Also, $25, when I say that, I'm talking shipping included. Now, okay, say that you're interested in supporting this show, but you don't want to buy a t-shirt. You don't want to scroll down to that description and check out the details for the t-shirts. You'd rather support the show a different way. Well, we've got you covered. We call that Patreon. Yes, that's right. $5 a month, folks. The price of a coffee, the price of a beer at the bar, and you make this show happen. You keep it cracking. I want to make this show as big as possible. I want to get bigger and better people. I'm talking the biggest and bestest person in the whole wide world. And the only way we do that is to get this show to grow. And it's not going to happen for free. So if you want to become a part of that, you want to be a part of our grassroots support movement, then you hop on that Patreon. And it's not as if there's nothing to offer. I release my music early on there. You can hear exclusive songs you won't hear anywhere else and exclusive podcast content. All that stuff's on the Patreon. Last but not least, as this episode comes out, as I record this, I've got a show coming up. If you're watching this before March 15th, 2025, you still got a chance. It's called the St. Patty's Day Massacre with Tim Perez and friends. Shout out Tim Perez, friend of the show. Awesome dude. He's been on here twice now, and him and I have a song coming out very soon called Confessionals. What? All facts. Very exciting, folks. You want to catch me live? March 15th is the time to do it. That's what's going down. If you're watching it after that, I'm still around, hopefully. All right, you got another chance. You got another chance to see me live. I'm all over the place, baby, and we appreciate you. For real, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching the show. Thanks for supporting us, even by watching it. You know, make sure you smash that like button or whatever the kids say nowadays, all right? Make sure you do the do, because we need you to prove that Ruse is true. Yes. All right. Now, I think we were talking about the homie Mac Miller. And also just the amount of stuff he accomplished by 26 is crazy.
100%.
He had huge albums working with like huge artists. And when I think like 26 is young. Once you're 26, you realize how young that actually is.
Oh, yeah.
You think it's old when you're 15.
Yeah, no. You're like, what is that man with mustache doing in the ball pit, right? Well, you probably still shouldn't be in the ball pit anyways. But
you're kind of allowed. Once you're 35, you got to stop. Once you're past 30, stay out of the ball pit.
Unless you got your own kid to throw in there. That's the excuse. That's really why people have children, is because they want to keep going to the ball pit.
Mm-hmm.
So.
When I hang out with my nieces and nephews, yes. I love to like get inside of the McDonald's play thing, and I'll do everything. Yes. Nothing's stopping me. But if you do it by yourself, it's not the same.
Different. The vibe is harsh.
It doesn't hit the same. Yeah, it's a little bit awkward.
Yeah, your shoes don't fit in the cubby anymore. It's like
gets bad.
Yeah,
gets bad. But what was I saying? Something about music.
Your faves, Mac Miller.
Oh, Mac Miller. Yeah. So Mac Miller, Kendrick Lamar. I think Kendrick Lamar is like the greatest rapper.
He's my favorite. Yeah,
he's just the best.
You can't win a Pulitzer and not be the GOAT.
Yeah, exactly. But like, yes. See, like Kendrick Lamar again. He's just more than a rapper.
Yeah,
he's so much. He's one of those people that could have done a lot of different things, but he just did that instead. And you know, it's crazy. I wish he did more interviews and more public appearances, because every time he does, he's like the smartest guy in the room. Right. He really is he's like an old soul. He's one of those people.
100%. But I feel like it probably like adds a little bit to like his mystique, or just like that is
it's rare
the way
now.
he is.
It's rare to be the person that doesn't show up in public all
exactly.
the time.
That's why people are. It might add a little bit more like, oh, we want more Kendrick Lamar. You know, we wouldn't be saying that if it was like, he's everywhere now. You know,
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And it is funny like now, like with the beef and everything. Like I feel like people. I feel like once you get to a certain level of success, there's always going to be people like, like he's nothing, he's not that much, you know, and it's like, it's just, I think it's something to keep in mind, like especially like doing comedy. It's so easy to be like, oh my God, like everyone's so much better than me, but that's kind of when you have to like validate yourself and realize that like even like people are like talking shit about like, you know, like Chris Rock and Gabriel Iglesias. And of course, like everyone has their faults, but it's like, you're never going to make everyone happy. And Kendrick, like, I think is inarguably like one of the best. And so people who try to say like, he's just like flavor of the month, like they just, I don't know, they're token.
When that came around, when the Drake Kendrick thing happened, it's what I think is interesting about Kendrick too is how he constantly like reinvents himself and what his brand is to people, like through each of his albums and stuff like that. And I think like there's another I've only seen one other person like put this into these exact words, and I wish I could remember his name. He's a comedian like in Chicago. I just saw it in his Instagram bio. It was become undeniable is what he put in his bio. And that's what I've already said that before I saw him say that. And maybe someone else said it a long time ago and it's just sticking to my brain. Maybe I'm a joke. I'm a joke thief.
It's a big phrase in motivational videos.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But it's true though. Like if you become undeniable, like if you are such a force within whatever industry that you're in, then no one can ever like. It doesn't even matter what people say negatively about you. It doesn't even matter. Like if you are undeniably good, like if people recognize what you are, and enough people do that, then what does it even matter if other people don't? Like. I said that to somebody on this podcast, I can't remember who, but they had told me that like when you're a comedian and you're undeniable, I think it was Owen, but it might not have been.
You'll have to watch Owen's interview to find out.
Yeah, watch the entire Owen Monahan interview.
Episode 133.
Yeah, but so with his, I think that's what he said. Where it's like comedians have to be undeniable, and if a comic is undeniably funny, then it doesn't matter if other people are looking at this comic and saying negative things because they made everybody laugh. Or even if the comic is like, you know, even if they say particularly raunchy things, if they're making everyone laugh, then you can't even really be mad at them because they're undeniably funny.
You can't. There's one way to be a great comedian, and that is to be funny.
Yeah.
So it's like, the argument of like what is hack and what is like great comedy, I think is, it's an interesting one because obviously like there are times that I'm doing shows and it's like, wow, like everybody's laughing at my set, no.
And no one else's, only mine. It's crazy.
Something else that's not like my sense of humor necessarily, but it's like if they're laughing, they're laughing. Like that's a good bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like it's almost like not really a point to be like, you know, they're crap or whatever. Like even like I know like Bert Kreischer gets a lot of like flack for like taking his t-shirt off and stuff like that, but that's what his demographic wants to see.
Exactly.
Right.
A couple episodes ago, I had Mercado. I'm not gonna remember his first name off the top of my head. Excuse my names. All right, I'm working hard over here. But Mercado Goods. He has a clothing brand.
Okay.
And, but he's a fan of comedy, and he asked me what I thought of Bert Kreischer, and it's like, you know. See, I'm not a fan of his comedy, but that doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't mean his comedy's bad. That's the thing that's like people miss about that. Like, just because I don't like it, or just because it's not what I'm looking for, doesn't mean it's bad. Right. And I connect it to rap. I connect it to music. Right. There's so much. Right. It's like I was saying how hip hop's so broad. Like, there's so much music for so many people. And if I'm looking for a certain type of music, that doesn't mean the other stuff. Even if somewhere in my mind I'm being a hater and I'm being like, oh well, but that's not what this is.
Right.
It doesn't even really have have to be what I like. It could be its own
Exactly.
thing because, like you said, it's his demographic that likes it.
Exactly.
It's not for me.
Somebody's laughing.
Yeah, and that's what's important.
Not me, but somebody.
And if that's what's going on, he should take his shirt off every time he's on camera. Okay, I have nothing against that guy. Make your money. Okay,
Right.
Make a topless T-shirt. That's what Bert Kreischer should do. I'm amazed he hasn't done it yet.
Yes,
Make a shirt that
little
is
body
like
outline.
exactly. So like he takes his shirt off and it's another shirt that's just his body, like his belly. It could be like an actual photocopy of his stomach. Like there's a way to make this happen.
I think they sell those in Cancun.
A lot of merch on Ruse Radio
Yeah.
today. A lot of merch ideas. I mean, if you're watching, I won't get mad at if you take some of these ideas. I won't get upset.
Some, no.
Some of them, not all of them. All right. The invisible suit for the sky is mine.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
patenting that.
The sky camouflage is in the works as we speak.
Probably dangerous. Like the more I think about that, if you were
know.
falling through the sky and you were camouflaged, that's probably like, what if there might even be someone who's done that before and it's already illegal. Like I wonder.
Maybe. It's like one of those classified FBI secrets that we're never supposed to know.
You can't be completely blue and in the sky at the same time.
No. It's like how you can't wear green in front of a green screen. Like it will just like become a floating hat.
That's what I'm saying. Like a plane's gonna be flying by and it's just gonna hit you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just gonna hit you.
Right.
You'll see it coming and you'll be like, no.
That's actually what happened with this last plane accident with the helicopter.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, what's crazy is that the helicopter hit the plane. That's what's crazy.
Right.
If the plane hit the helicopter, I'd be like, okay, well, that makes sense. Like if you're
But
in
like
a
the plane is like so much bigger.
how are you gonna
right?
steer? Yeah, like
I
you're
don't
coming in, you see it
know.
there, you're like, how am I gonna steer? A helicopter,
I don't know.
like I was talking to my mom on the phone about it right after it
Yeah.
happened, and I was like, that's like if you hit another boat in the middle of the ocean. It's like if you
yacht.
were on a boat and there was another boat and you guys
Yeah.
just somehow collide with each other.
No.
It's like, of all the boats, you somehow, like, there's nothing around us, but somehow you hit me.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
somebody's drunk.
That's what I was saying. And I was also talking to my mom on the phone about this. And she said that they said like the pilot of the helicopter or something was like a 20-year veteran of flying or piloting. So
Crazy.
yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Maybe he
Who
got
knows?
an attack or something. But condolences to the family.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course. Do you have a horse in the race this Super Bowl?
Oh, you know what? How little I pay attention is I had customers. I'm a server at Giordano's in South Loop, and so I had some customers the other day. They were like, "You rooting for Kansas City or the other one?" And I was,
I think it's the Philadelphia Patriots.
I
think
You're
I might
informing
be completely
me.
dumb here.
I'm completely
the
dumb.
Patriots may not be the Philadelphia. I don't know.
Right, you're just mixing everything up.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is what we need. This is what the assistant is for. I was telling her before.
No, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles. That's what it is.
That's what it is?
Yes.
You're sure?
No,
All
I'm
right.
not sure. I was hoping
We're
you would,
looking it up.
you
We're
would
looking it
check.
up. Super Bowl 2025. Let's see. Chiefs versus Eagles. You got it.
Yes.
See?
We're not completely clueless in here.
I am. I will admit it. 'Cause that's what I was going to say. He asked me that. Kansas City or are you
Right.
rooting for Kansas City? And I said, whichever one you're rooting for. That was my answer. But like literally, I didn't even know what he was talking about. And as you said that to me just now, it clicked in my brain. He was asking me about the Super Bowl. Duh.
Oh,
He was
what do you think he
saying-
was asking you about?
Just some random game that was happening that day or like.
Oh, okay, got you. You're like, I don't
I don't know
know.
what you're talking about, guy. Whichever one you're rooting for.
Right,
Very,
yeah.
very politically astute answer. All right. I satisfied all parties.
He's like, good.
And then when I think I came back later, he's like, Kansas City, right? I said, yeah. That's what it was like. Yeah. Pretty sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I hear some Chicago fans, are rooting against the Chiefs. So
I'm rooting against them just because when I think about it, if football, like if they win again, I agree with everybody who says football is rigged. This is ridiculous. Ain't no way these guys won, 3 years in a row now? Like Taylor Swift is like dating the main guy on the team last year. That's what fueled all those conspiracies. Because everybody was saying like football has to be fake. I remember like when it happened the second time in a row and Taylor Swift is like on TV all the time.
Right.
All the football fans are now looking at that going like,
Right.
what is going on here?
Interesting, very
This seems
interesting.
weird.
Yeah.
And so to me, it just seems like too big of a coincidence.
Right, yeah.
And like I like professional wrestling, okay?
Me too.
Okay, yeah. So if you like professional wrestling, You could see how they would fake football. It's not that hard.
I know, yeah. I mean, it might just be up to the money. I mean, there's a lot of money in those games. So
That's exactly
it's
right.
not fake, it's predetermined.
Which is what wrestling is.
Yes,
That's what they tell you. That's what they always say. I mean, have you ever seen that clip, It's Still Real to Me, Damn It?
Yeah,
that whole thing?
yeah,
That's how I feel all
guy.
the time. I feel that way all the time. I religiously relate to that guy. Because it is still real to me, damn it. I think wrestling, you familiar with Rick Rubin?
Yeah.
So he's had some like podcast appearances where he's come out and like talked about wrestling.
The producer?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It was on like on Joe Rogan he mentioned it, and then on another podcast, I think it was Andrew Huberman's podcast he mentioned it. There's a couple ones where they'd asked him about it because he basically said like he thinks that wrestling is more real than a lot of other things, but he didn't really like explain it. He just kind of said that and then talked around it a little bit. But that's like a really profound statement to me because I think it's like the fact that people can elevate those stories in their mind. It's almost like mythology or like the way that
it's storytelling.
It's all storytelling, yeah. But what's so incredibly unique about it is everyone who's watching it agrees that it's fake. Like almost everyone. Like, there's obviously like the people who really do think it's real, but
predetermined.
But predetermined, yes. But like everyone who's watching it knows that these guys are not legitimately punching each other in the face, and they're not trying to hurt each other. They're trying to. This is an event.
Show.
They're putting on a show. Yeah. And somehow in that you still can convince yourself and be emotionally involved and feel through that.
Right.
And that's kind of what everything is in a way. Like everything is kind of this elevation of whatever this mundane thing is. You elevate it in your mind and you allow it. Yeah. Otherwise, what is life? It's just boring. You're just not doing anything.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I don't follow the Super Bowl or football or anything, but I would hope that it's not all like, bought and everything. I hope not.
It just seems pointless at that point.
Yeah. It's like when they accuse like the Patriots of deflating the ball and everything.
Yeah.
So.
And that's exactly how all that stuff would happen is like little things like that.
Yeah.
So you get little glimpses of it, but who knows how widespread it really is.
Yeah.
And we all know there's a little bit of cheating in every sport. It always is. You can't get away from it. But it's like, how did Kansas City and Taylor Swift? How? It just seems like something that would happen in a movie. Like you have a character who's like a super popular pop star and she dates this football player and my God, they're at the biggest game of all time. Like, of course that's the story that would sell. So that's what's so weird about it to me. But who knows? Also, like, they're photogenic. They're so photogenic. Like Travis Kelce and like
similar heights.
What's that other guy? Patrick Mahomes. Obviously they're stars because they look like stars. So all my alarm bells go off. I look at that. I go, I don't know.
They're too attractive to be talented.
Exactly. Something's wrong.
Let's just say it.
That is kind of what it is. It's like, how? What are the odds? You like wrestling?
I love wrestling.
So you've watched it, your whole life?
Well, okay. So I love wrestling, but I watched it my active years were like 2001 to 2008. And since then, but I've always just had like a soft spot for it. But I have a friend now. He's also a comic, Luis. And he watches it currently. So I went to the Royal Rumble with him over this past weekend, which was super cool. It was my first premium live event.
Where was it?
It was at the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't like that they call them premium. I liked it better when it was pay-per-view.
I just learned that they don't call them pay-per-views anymore.
Because they're not.
PLEs, right? Yeah.
PLEs.
Yeah.
There's ever since they got bought, I don't know if they were doing that before. They got bought by UFC.
Yeah.
But ever since they got bought by UFC, they've been really trying to like gear themselves towards a like real sport type presentation, which makes sense, they've had UFC stars appear on there. And I don't know how much you keep up. Like, I don't know, because you say that you keep up, you got a soft spot. Do you like Like how much do you like pay attention to what's going on with like modern wrestling? Like
Well,
when you saw the Royal Rumble, were you familiar with most of the people?
I would say I didn't know 70% of the people.
There's so many new ones now.
There's a lot of new ones. I mean, I was stoked to see Stephanie McMahon. She's my queen.
Was she in the Rumble?
She was not in the Rumble, but she's like one of the executive officers. So she just she opened the whole thing. She was like, welcome, in her voice.
She's like one of the OG girl bosses.
Yeah, she is. And so Trish Stratus was in the Rumble, so she got a big pop. And so and in the men's Rumble, I saw like Rey Mysterio and John Cena, obviously. And I don't know, it's kind of weird seeing these guys who were like young when I was watching it, right? They're like 23 and now they're like on their farewell tour and they're on their way out. But so I didn't know 70% of them, but what I saw, like just from the charisma and the characters, like really like kind of got me interested in it again. So like I've been watching like Rob highlights on YouTube like these last couple days. So so that's how I learned about the PLEs. And
you're like, what are they talking about? PLE? What even is that?
But,
then you realize, oh, that's pay-per-view. That's what it was like for me. I was like, oh, that's what they're talking about.
I was outdated saying pay-per-view, but I knew that they I know that they like Vince has been having like a lot of trouble, and I know they got bought out by Endeavor and
the whole Vince McMahon controversy.
Yeah. I mean, once you take a shit on someone's head, it's kind of over for you. You know what I mean?
Kind of hard to bounce back from that one.
No, yeah, it's dirty business.
You think you know that Brock Lesnar was like somewhat involved?
I know, yeah. I read the court papers. I did.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the dirty details.
Yeah,
literally the dirty details.
Right.
It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But what's with Brock Lesnar? I think, what is it, the extent of his involvement? It's like he had text messages that were exchanged between him and Vince. So there's no like confirmation that anything happened in person.
Right.
Just text messages that strongly suggest such a thing. Because I just wonder if Brock Lesnar is going to... Obviously, Vince ain't bouncing back.
Right.
Brock is like one of the best talents that company's ever had.
I was never like a huge fan of his. Maybe it's just because like when he came, I was kind of like... I was aging out of it a little bit, and I didn't like the new blood or whatever. But I don't know. I don't like that he doesn't have eyebrows. I don't like. He just looks like a big like Nordic mountain. He's never like appealed to me. I guess
that's the idea. Like it's like we were saying about comedians. Someone sees that Nordic mountain, and they're like, "That's my man."
Right.
Brock Lesnar really is though. Like at least in terms of athleticism, he's crazy. I mean, that's why he did so well when he went to the UFC. He's one of the rare people who could have entered the UFC when he's like 35, 40 and dominated for years.
Yeah.
And no one does that. Like you can't even name... CM Punk tried to go to the UFC. He failed. I think Shelton Benjamin, he's from your time.
Okay.
He went to UFC for a minute, but then
I met him actually.
No.
I met him at a gym.
What?
Yeah.
Just randomly?
Yeah, my brother and dad were working out at our local gym in Des Moines, and they called me and they were like, a bunch of wrestlers are here because there's an event in town, and so like I like scurried over to the Aspen, and there's Kurt Angle and Shelton Benjamin and the Dudley brothers.
What?
Interrupted all of their workouts for signatures. So,
when was this?
This was like 2006. Something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah, Kurt was really nice.
Kurt would be the one I'd be super excited for. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
But now I work out, like I hit the gym, and I would be so pissed if somebody was like, They
must deal with that a lot though.
Yeah.
Especially if they're going to random gyms.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how they chose that little gym, random gym.
That's probably what it is. They just point over there and they go there.
Right, yeah.
Not anything complicated at all. They're literally in town for a day. They're like, where can we physically be active before we...
That's not in like a dungy basement.
yeah. Like, because you know what? Like a gym, like any gym's probably better than like these hotel gyms.
Oh,
hotel gyms are very minimal. They're not anything special. Some of them
are, yeah. They're fitness rooms is what they call them, right? They're not gyms. They're
accommodation stations. They're there just to be there.
Right, yeah. They got the one dumbbell and bands.
Yeah, right. Just enough, just enough for you to say you did something.
Right. Just to say that you could do some work out here, but.
Yeah. So that's probably how they end up there. Dude, that's so crazy. Wow. What a random thing to happen.
Yeah. But
wow.
I've never met The Undertaker. He is my favorite.
He has a podcast now.
I think I know. I think a lot of the superstars have, and like Stone Cold has his Broken Skull podcast.
He's had his for a long time.
Yeah. He was another one of my faves, of course.
Stone Cold, yeah. He's the man.
He is the man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got his own wine line.
Really?
Yeah. You would think it'd be beer, but I think it's probably called Broken Skull.
Yeah.
No, I think it is.
You would think it would be beer. Like, he literally sprayed people with it from a fire hose.
Yeah. I guess he didn't really drink much of it. He sprayed most of it, so.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you probably couldn't drink much of it because he would, smash two of those things together and pretend to drink them for a second?
Yeah, he would, it would just wash down his face and his body, just like a beer fountain.
Stone Cold is great. Stone Cold's one of those people who I think changed wrestling in a big way. Like, there's a couple people who, what they did with promos and what they did with like elevating the sport to this level where it was like you had these real relatable, controversial like figures where like people would talk about them. And Cold, the whole Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon rivalry in the late 90s, like that was such a draw for the company at that time.
Yeah,
because it was such a universal story that people can understand, like this guy versus the establishment versus his boss, the evil boss,
flipping him off.
And also Vince McMahon being the actual owner of the company, but playing the heel, the bad guy, and doing it so well. Like what I was saying before about wrestling being more real than reality. It's also weird because it's also meta. Like it is meta. He is the actual owner of the company.
Right, yeah.
But you do hate him and he does do awful things. Like when you watch you want to hate him. But he's the reason all this is happening.
Right.
You should like him.
Right.
It's so funny, like his random like heel turns and face turns over the years, because like he would, like, I remember when I started watching pretty much right after you stopped watching. So like right around 2008, 2009.
Right.
And I remember when he came out on Raw, and it was like when he was really passing the torch to Triple H, like the first time on camera. It's crazy because now you go back and watch that, and now Triple H really is the guy in charge.
Yeah, he's the guy.
But back then it wasn't. It still for 10 years it didn't quite become that.
He was just a guy.
He was a guy, yeah. And like the reason that Triple H even had that relationship with him is obviously because the Stephanie McMahon thing. Triple H and Stephanie McMahon get married, which again was a story on the program, but it also was real life.
Yeah, and it did not happen the way that they portrayed it on the program. No. She was not drugged, and they did not go elope through a Las Vegas chapel.
It used to be so wild. Like the stuff they used to do on there, it was like you could never drug someone and marry them.
No. Nor should you. Nor should you.
But Triple H did it, and they're still married today, and that is WWE, folks.
Yes.
But anyway, so he comes out, and like the audience is ready to, I think, kind of like boo him and be against him. Okay. And then he starts crying and saying like, this is my retirement speech, basically. I have to give the company away. Like they're telling me I have to give the company away. And he's like riding that line perfectly of what is true and what is not true, because in storyline it makes perfect sense, but also in reality that is what was happening. He did have to give the company away, and that is why he was crying. And like Vince is one of those people where he's like built for that business. Like there's so many amazing Vince McMahon moments. Like he had a match with freaking Donald Trump at WrestleMania. Who else can say that? Only Vince McMahon.
I blocked that from my mind.
It's so crazy that it actually happened. I wish I knew which WrestleMania it was, and whoever won would shave the other one's head. Like, what a gimmick for such a match.
Yeah, shaving your opponent's head was hot in WWE for a while.
I think it was CM Punk and someone else. Can't remember who the other one was, but they had a thing where they were like, the other one would shave the other one's head. And I know for a minute CM Punk had a shaved head, and he was doing the Straight Edge Society, if you remember that. And he would have people join, and he would shave their heads in the middle of the ring.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like there was what's the girl, Lita? She was dating Edge for a long time.
Yeah.
She joined the Straight Edge Society, and they shaved her head. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
I can't imagine her with a shaved head.
Nobody
She
could.
had beautiful red hair.
Mm-hmm.
She
Lita.
looked nice. She looked good.
She did.
Did she pull off a bald head?
Again,
I don't think I could. My face is too round.
I don't think I could either. I think I can get really short, but I don't think I could pull it off. I think
it's a hard look.
It's a hard look, yeah. And if you don't have to, you don't need to. Like, there are reasons you would, but I just can't justify it, you know? Every time I get a buzz cut, but I don't go that short.
Right.
I think, like, I can't imagine you with the bald head either. I'm trying to imagine it right now.
Maybe
you ever wear
like,
a bald cap?
No, it makes my head sweaty.
I've never worn one either.
Maybe if I ever go as Stone Cold for Halloween, I will wear a bald cap.
Yeah, you could be Stone Cold, and then I could be Mr. Clean, you know? It could be like we could go with two bald people. I could be the other person I was going to say. We were talking earlier how I could be a cop. So
I was going to say you're a cop. Yeah.
I'm already a cop, right?
Yes, there's the costume right there.
And there it is right there. I don't even have to try.
Super Trooper vibes.
Yeah, Super Trooper. One time, someone told me the guy from the Limu Emu commercials. That's what he told me.
That's awesome.
I'll take that one too, yeah.
I could be the emu.
Yeah, right. Now we're talking.
Yes.
There we go. Comedy. How does someone like you end up in comedy? How does that happen?
Someone like me?
Yeah. I think that's a fun way to ask that question, yeah. How does someone like you? It almost implies like you don't belong here.
You have to do it with a very like a pointed tone, a very
exactly. I have that voice naturally. I can say things normal and people will think I'm being sarcastic.
Oh my goodness! So many times I say something and people are like, "That doesn't sound like you really mean it."
Yep.
They're like, Did you really mean what you said?"
I'll be like, "You did a really good job with this. It looks great." And they'll be like, "Are you messing with me right now?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "No, I mean it. It looks good."
Right? Yeah.
They think I'm pulling their leg.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I think you have a perfectly nice voice. I think I have a perfectly nice voice.
We're cursed.
We're cursed with the burden of judgment.
Of expression.
Expression.
Yes, we're too expressive. I think it's like people are caught off guard by it.
Maybe.
Like, you can't be real.
You think so?
This
Maybe.
can't be real.
I like that take. We're too expressive rather than too judgmental, because it's like, and I don't know. I'm depressed, so I don't have a lot of energy. So like, I don't have like the energy that it takes to kind of change my voice so it sounds like I mean it. Yeah. So I'm just like, hey, good job.
You're just gonna have to accept it.
Yeah. This is what I got. Okay, these are the compliments I got for you, and it hurts me to say it. So please, just take it.
But yeah, so you that natural sarcasm, it plays in your favor sometimes though. Yeah, because like when I ask a question like that, all right, how does someone like you end up in comedy?
It did sound like I was offended.
Yeah, it's just who I am, baby. It's all I got. I can't change it.
I guess I would be hypocritical if I took it the wrong way. So
it's all right. Ruse has haters. It makes me cooler, you know.
Yeah.
You can be my hater. It's cool. It makes me cool.
Hit that dislike button, baby.
Yeah. You heard her. Hit the dislike button. Drop a hate comment down there.
For him.
Yeah. For me. She was great, but the guy, I don't know.
The guy whose podcast this is. I muted his part.
Yeah, I just turned it down when he started talking. Whenever that cop started talking, I just stopped listening.
Yeah, it's the cop vibes.
Yeah. But anyway, comedy. How do you get there? Like, how long have you done comedy?
Well, I've watched stand-up like ever since like my brother and I would watch like a lot of like Comic View, Def Jam, Comedy Central Presents, was ever since we were, like 10 years old, and just watched a lot of greats. We could like quote specials back and forth to each other, like Sinbad's Son of a Preacher Man, George Lopez, Why You Crying, Mitch Hedberg's stuff, obviously. And so it's just something that has always like been a part of of my personality, I guess. And my brother, he was like the funniest guy that I knew. So Q to high school, I started doing high school improvisation, group improvisation, and theater. And I wasn't particularly good at theater. I was in the crew. But improv I was really good at. Went to All-State for the high school competition, and kind of continued acting, and I guess like auditioned for the improv troupe a few times in college. And then after college, my plan was to move to Los Angeles to kind of pursue like a career in entertainment. But I was dating somebody at the time, and he's like, I live in Chicago. Well, he lived in the suburbs. He lived in Glenview. And
they all say that. They say they live in Chicago.
And they don't. They don't at all. It's like, damn, bro, this is mad far from Chicago. Because I didn't have a car or anything. So I moved in with him like 12 years ago is when I moved here. And the relationship didn't last, but I took classes. I was active at Second City from like 2015 to like 2020. I graduated from the Second City Conservatory online during COVID to the laughs of nobody. So that was fun. That was not fun.
No, sad times to be a comedian, I'm sure.
Was.
Yeah.
The only thing worse than stand-up online is improv online. Yes. Oh, my God. It was so depressing.
I can only imagine. To no audience. Because part of that is even the audience with improv. It's like you're kind of creating that moment for them, not just for you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're literally just by yourself in your apartment, like, pretending you're doing whatever you're doing. And
you're like, be a shoe, and you're in your apartment.
Yeah.
I am a shoe.
Like, improv can already be embarrassing enough to just like do it like in the cold, stark like light of a camera.
You're just
like,
having existential crises every time you end those sessions. You're like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Who am I really?
It crosses from entertainment to existential crisis.
Insanity.
Exactly.
Just actual insanity.
Yeah.
Because truly, improv is kind of like organized insanity. Like really, when it's done well, that's why it looks so crazy when done badly. It just you need to see a good improv like session to really even understand what it is. Because like there's a book I have around here in these stacks.
I have a lot of books.
Yeah,
There's a bunch of books.
But it was written by Del Close and Charna Halpern, I think it's their names. But they're the people who founded improv at Second City.
Yeah.
And like he's the one who developed the method that they use. And it's really like Second City, obviously they do improv all over, but that is where it all starts. It's right there with this guy. And it's just crazy like how loose truly the philosophy is. Like if you really want to do it right, you really have to like let go of all preconceptions and just go with, but also be present. Like you have to let go of all those preconceptions and then just be present and go with whatever it is we're doing for this period of time. And if you can do that and you can do it right, then you can create something in that moment that can't be replicated. It's only there for that moment. And that's the beauty of it. And really, I think that's like a life lesson that you can take and put all over the place. You can do that with everything. Everything is sort of improv in a way.
Yeah. Life is improv. And I love to see like good improv. There is this Spanish-speaking troupe in Chicago called Las Ratas de Dos Patas, and I've seen them only once, but good Lord, they were like the best improv that I've seen in a while. So good. And so it's like you said, if you take all those principles and like apply them, like you can really get some magic happening. But a lot of the times it's pretty puts a damper on your day.
One of the most interesting rules of it to me is to not be funny. Like that's actually one of the things they tell you. Don't be funny. Like don't try and be funny.
Yes.
Before I started this podcast, I was telling you about like how that's my approach with the podcast. Is because what you'll find is like improv. Like if you're trying to go for laughs 24/7, if that's what you're doing, like if that's what I did as the host,
organic.
You wouldn't be so organic. Exactly. And like, but improv is the same. What happens is you start stepping on the scene. You start making it about you and shifting the focus in these different directions.
Yeah.
When really you should be following everyone else's lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
which is just, it seems so counterintuitive when you first hear it, because improv is so closely related to it really is comedy. Like it becomes comedy. But what's interesting about it, the lesson in it, is truly the honest responses are the funny ones.
Yeah.
It's like when you're having a conversation with somebody, it's not like it's just those honest, funny things they say that usually are the funniest. Like just the random comments they make, not when they're trying to be funny and be on, but when they just are letting loose. That's when you have like the most memorable stuff.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's how it goes. Yeah.
And it's true in stand-up too, because there will be times that, and that's why I think a lot of why it's good to be good at crowd work, because it is those authentic moments I think that people really connect with, because sometimes you'll be doing your material and people are like, that's funny, but we don't really care, you know what I mean? So like but then when you say like, oh, I guess that didn't hit, then people are like, oh, that's true.
I've noticed like a lot of comics, they'll even have little things they do to make that work. Like if a joke doesn't hit, they have another joke that makes fun of the last joke not working, and that kind of loosens it up.
Yeah.
Like there's different things you can do to play off of that moment, but it is acknowledgement, right? And again, acknowledgement is an improv rule, to acknowledge everything. Because if you just ignore it and let it go by, you're not like, you're
in
not
the moment. Yeah.
It doesn't, like, the audience knows. Everybody in the room knows. It's like an elephant's in the room and you're not pointing at it. You know? And just by doing that, you can get them on your side.
100%.
Like in that, like you see it a million times with comedy. You just do one joke that really pokes at something, or there's the guy in the front row and you just talk to him for a minute, and all of a sudden everybody kind of loosens up a little bit.
Yeah,
sometimes that's all it takes.
It allows for that connection that brings everyone together. Like, this is a moment in this room that we're sharing together. Like, we're all in it together. Because that's what comedy shows are. Like, you could just watch clips online, but the show is the experience that everyone has to come together and everyone agrees to laugh,
I think that people who watch comedy online only, they don't even like realize what they're missing.
Right.
It's so much different.
Yeah.
When you, like, if you've never been to a comedy show, but you're fans of all these comedians and you've watched specials, it's just so different than going and seeing it live.
Yes.
It's a million times different. Like, it's so much more effective.
Right.
Like, I am much more likely to laugh if I'm sitting in a crowd than I am if I'm just sitting here with something playing on my phone,
Yes, yeah.
Because it's almost like, I really think of it as like it's a type of hypnosis. Like it all is, all stage performance is. Like, I think when you're doing comedy well in particular, you're able to kind of get a room in like this state of like they want to laugh. They want to. Like, you got them there, and then you just ride that if you can make that happen.
Yes.
Like, and you know it when it's happening. Like, when you see somebody who's killing, that's what they call it. That's the word. But when you see it happening, you know it, like you feel it in the room.
Right. It's an energy.
You can't even feel it through a phone, is what I'm saying, though.
Right.
If you were to watch that, like if special, that's amazing. You just don't understand what it was in that room at that time.
Right. Yeah. That's where the phrase "you had to be there" comes from.
And I think comedy is so good with that. I think like the best comedians are just always that all the time. Like, they're able to capture moments in a way that you can't even with other mediums. You really can't do it with other things.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if I watch comedy online, I usually, there won't be more than like a titter.
Yeah.
So definitely, like, they say laughter is contagious. So if you have a whole room laughing around you, like, that makes me laugh more too.
And that's like, going back to comedy without an audience and like 2020 and all that. I think that's like the ultimate shame of all of it, is like you as a comedian, you lose that. And that's really what keeps you doing it in the first place, is like feeling that genuine energy that you're creating, it's almost like you're doing magic up there, and when you can't do the magic,
right?
You're just sitting in your apartment, it's completely different.
I wonder if there were Zoom magic shows during COVID,
like actual magic shows.
Yeah, because like if comedians had to do their craft online. Like you'd think magicians would too, right?
I bet it had to have happened. Like just based on the odds of it had to happen. Like there's no way it didn't. I don't even think it's a question. Like I think if our assistant over there looked it up right now, he'd be able to find it, you know? If Margot was typing on the computer.
Yeah. I think Margot's busy right now, but
she's over there licking her paws in the other room.
Yeah.
Very important stuff.
Yeah, her thumbs are up here. So.
Yeah, it's not as easy as it seems. But when you stopped that, then when you were able to actually get back into the comedy world, how was that readaptation? Was that a natural process, just going back to open mics and just doing it? Is that what it was, or had you not even done stand up before then?
I interned at the Comedy Bar when I first got to Chicago, so the first. It wasn't an open mic. It was like a showcase at a bar. I don't remember if it's called Estelle's or Stella's. I don't remember if it's around anymore. But that was like one of our internship assignments was we had to do like a 5-minute set, I think. And I still have this set around somewhere. No actual jokes, just observations. But that was the first mic that I did. And then between then and when I started comedy, like I would I think I tried stand up like maybe one more time at an open mic, but I always liked to go watch open mic comedy because like to me, everyone who was there was like a star, you know, or like the next star, and I really liked to watch it. Now being in it myself, I'm like why was I putting myself through that if I didn't have to? But so what I did, I don't know. I was it was like during a period that I was like drinking pretty heavily, and I was just like, dude, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I don't have anything to show for myself, and I signed up for this stand-up class at Lincoln Lodge, and it kind of scared the shit out of me because I'd always done improv, always had other people on stage with me, but I'm like, I'm just gonna do this. Like, I have to do something, and this is something I've always wanted to try. And so I did the class, great class, taught by Chelsea Hood, great teacher. And from there, I just started hitting open mics. You know, I think Harrigan's was one of my first ones, and I host it now every Tuesday at 8:30.
Woo!
Come through, Pint of Laughs. And I don't know, it was just like I put all the energy that I used to put into like drinking and partying, I just put it into stand-up. And that's kind of why it's not like that big a deal for me to be out like every night, because I was already doing that when I was like, you know, getting hammered.
You know, I think there is definitely like a science to the fact that people who do art generally have some type of like, there's just some type of battle in their mind. Like there's some type of thing that they have going on in them. And I think like, while that's like, obviously it's something they have to deal with, it's usually what contributes to what they do well. Like almost every artist, you know, like one person that really made me realize that when I was younger was Robin Williams. Cause you know, he's the funniest guy. He's the most lovable guy. And then you find out that there's so much depth beyond that. Yeah. Like and obviously like you could see that in his drama roles. Yeah. But like there's something to that where, you know, if you can take that addictive personality and apply it to something good, you can do so much.
I know. And sometimes I'm just like, I don't even know if I should keep doing therapy, because what if I'm not funny? What if I'm not funny? And that's something I was at Harrigan's last night talking to somebody about this, and I'll bring it up again today. But like Chris Farley, he was just like, I think at some point, like near the end of his life, he was just kind of like, he literally asked one of the castmates on SNL that he came back to host. He was like, am I funny or am I just fat? You know what I mean? Like, and that's like deep. Like there's so much self-doubt in doing comedy. Like you said, that kind of darkness, right? And it's just sad that, you know, he left without ever like really, he made so many people laugh and such a big impact in the comedy world that like he didn't believe it himself.
But it's probably that he was so hard on himself that even pushed him to do so good. That's the other part of it.
Yeah.
If you weren't that hard on yourself, you wouldn't keep trying and doing better.
100%. Right. Yeah. Someone told me he would like slam 3 or 4 coffees before he got on stage.
You could see it.
Yeah.
now that you say that, everything makes perfect sense.
Right. Yeah. So
that guy had like energy that was unnatural for a guy.
I'm going to try it. I'm going to.
Yeah. I'm on my way right now.
How many cups is that?
This is my second one today, number 2.
You got a lot of energy.
I got a lot of natural energy.
Okay.
I just have it naturally. I mean, I drank coffee like forever, but I'm one of those people where like I know I could like run a marathon if I wanted. But I think it's like that same thing where it's like I'm like a ball that's all rolled up, you know, and I have to like unravel myself, you know. Like I have it in me already. I got to put it out there. That's why I like doing things like this. I got to keep myself busy or else I'll go crazy, you know.
Yeah.
It's just why I say that with the artist thing, because I know what it is. Like I know there's this thing in me that's constantly got to do something. Like I'm never ever satisfied ever. Always got to do something. And like, you know, there's that same doubt. Like when you say that Chris Farley says something like that, it makes perfect sense to me that someone would say something like that, because again, like you have to have something that lights that fire. Like even if it's doubt, like that doubt can produce such greatness, you know?
Yeah.
Success is not a beautiful thing. Like the creation of success is not a fun process.
No,
it all looks good on the outside.
It's not. It's very hard. It requires a lot of nights by yourself without your friends who are living their lives, and you're just like putting in the work. You're sitting down, you're writing, you're out at mics when you don't want to be, you're driving long drives by yourself. It's not a glamorous life, you know, but if you're not in love with it, if you don't like it, that's why you probably won't last as long. Like you have to like it.
You have to like it, yeah. And like that's what they always say is you have to like love the process. You have to fall in love with the process itself, because really that's what life is the process. It's not the end goal. It's not once you get there and you're successful and you did whatever you want to do. It's all those moments that lead to that. And then once you even get whatever that is, that ideal version of what you're thinking it is, you're going to be doing the same exact thing you're doing now. Like your life's not going to change. You're still going to be driving everywhere. You're still going to be doing shows.
Yeah.
Like all these successful comics, you don't see them just stop touring once they get popular.
No.
You know, but like I think like people are unrealistic with themselves. They have this vision of the future that's perfect, and it's like that you have to fall in love with that process, or else you'll go crazy.
You have to be happy with yourself where you're at, because wherever you go, you take yourself there. And that sounds kind of cheesy, but it's like there is no level of success. It's
wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, there's no level of success that's going to make you love yourself. Like the person who makes that success is still going to have the mindset that you have. And if you hate yourself at $50,000, you're going to hate yourself at $100,000 or $1 million a year. Like you just have to have that mindset that you back yourself, you love yourself, and because that's who's going to be around when you make it. And I think that's very important. I think that it's so important to have like strong mental health, because if you don't, like it just doesn't matter what success you have. Like yeah. And I think like really all you can ever do is start from like the base, right? Start with yourself. Like if you're like in a place where you don't think you're in your best like mind state, the only way you're ever going to get out of there is by taking the steps necessary to do so, right? Like, and you know, I heard a piece of advice where it's like, don't compare yourself with who someone else is today. Don't compare yourself with who someone else is today. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. And then in that, the next step would be to take steps that you could reasonably take to get yourself in a place where you would be doing better. So like, because it seems impossible. Like if you're in a depressive state, if you're feeling truly depressed, it seems impossible to actually get started and get out of that. But like, that's one reason I really respect comics and comedy, is because the natural state of being a comedian is getting up and going out and doing these open mics. That's what you have to do. If you don't go out and do shows or do open mics, you will never get better. And that's what they all will tell you. And like,
that's the only way you really get out of whatever rut you're in in life, is like you're never going to do it by sitting by yourself in your apartment or wherever you are.
Nope.
You have to get out and just experience things. I think like for me, I think what it is, at least my like interpretation of it, is just that once you see there's so much of a world outside of you and outside of your preconceptions and your ideas, and you constantly, I mean, life is just over and over a reminder of that. You know, once you see that so many times, you just naturally fall into the process of, you know, shaking all of that off and just moving forward, you know. And I think going to open mics, meeting new people, whatever it is, like you're going to naturally get into a flow where you aren't stuck in that same depressive cycle.
Right.
But you have to break out of it. You have to be mindful of those things, or else you will just stay there.
Yeah. It's definitely like one of those like chicken and egg things. You're like, oh, I never have the motivation, because motivation's not going to get you there. Like, it's going to be your discipline.
It's kind of like the discipline creates the motivation, you know? Like, it seems like it's backwards. Like, by doing the actions, you create the mindset, rather than the mindset creating the actions.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like you said, like, no one's coming to save you, right? Like, no one's going to write the jokes for you. You have to put pen to paper. Otherwise, you're just going to do the same jokes that you did last time.
And it's cool to get better. Like, to me, that's the coolest thing. Yeah. I actually like looking back at my older stuff and being like, I was not as good. It feels good. Yeah.
And you always feel like you're like, oh man, I'm doing good. And then like a few months go by and you're like, wow, that was whack. You know?
I know. I have to tell myself that now always. I'm like, I know I'm going to go back and watch this episode and be like, oh my God. You know, like 5 years from now. I'll be like, what was I doing?
You're watching 5 years from now. Yeah. I don't want to rush, but I parked until like 5:15.
Oh, okay. What time is it right now? Let's see. We got, it's 5:18.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I have a great sense for timing.
That's incredible. You should be a bull rider, you know?
Why?
I heard that bull riders, their time perception is so much more well-tuned than like the natural person. Because think about it. They have to be on the bull for 10 to 15 seconds.
Oh, okay.
So the way that they count 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, it's so much different than the way we would count it. Like those seconds are long to them.
Oh, yeah.
They know what a second is.
Yeah.
I heard that once when I was little. I was like, it blew my mind because it made me realize, like, that's crazy. If you're someone who has to think about that, you think about that all the time.
Yeah, you'd have a good grasp on how long a second is.
I bet comedians have that because they're on stage and they're on stage for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like, they probably have it tuned in their mind.
I think so, yeah.
Wow. This is like the tidbit of knowledge at the end of the episode for all the folks that stuck around. This is where Ruse gets his mind blown, because that actually really does blow my mind.
Let's call it Ruse Rainbow. It's a little idea, tidbit of knowledge.
The more you know.
Yes. Shooting star.
But all right, so before you get out of here, always got to make sure, tell them the social media, where they can find you, all that good stuff. You know, if you think this episode comes out at the beginning of March. So if you got any like things to plug in March, this is where you do it. And also, final message for the kids at home. The floor is yours.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I always get so weird when people are like, talk. You can find me online at Calmnessa on IG. And you can also follow my show that I produce at Lincoln Lodge every third Friday. It's at Buena Onda Comedy Chicago. And we will be doing our show this March 21st, 7 p.m., Lincoln Lodge. Come through. And please follow me. Please come watch me. And I'm hoping to do some good stuff for you guys in the future. So thank you so much for having me on. This has been fun.
Oh, yeah, we'll have you on again sometime soon. We'll have more merch ideas, all right? You'll see the shirt. You saw the description in the bio. What was the number you gave me? Kat Diaz 5?
25.
25.
Diaz 25,
2025.
Right? For 25% off.
25% off, 2025. I mean, what can I say? It's a deal you can't, it's an offer you can't refuse. I wish I had a cat on my lap right now. With that being said, folks, Radio. Clocking out.
Peace.
Flow shit is back, yo, timing is up. Flow shit is back, no rhyming, it sucks. Why? Flow shit is back, wrote mine in the Dutch. Dope shit is back, flow shit is back. What? MC, what the fuck is friendly? You'll be saying dumb shit, cup is when it's empty. I be on the dark side, you don't wanna tempt me. Even if the car died, I be on the 10 speed. Been on my own since the day I was a kid.